Right, we start with this. The Road Traffic Management Corporation is proposing that motorists retake the driving test every 5 years. It also wants to bar young drivers from undertaking trips of more than 150 kilometres in their first year of having a licence, with additional tests for taxi, bus and truck drivers. This is all in a bid to curb the carnage on South African roads. And our reporter Govan Whittles is covering this story for us. Govan, just quickly take us through those proposed changes to the driver test regulations.
Well, Anneli, some of the main changes that are being proposed by the Road Traffic Management Corporation include the retesting of drivers every 5 years, but also controversially the accompaniment of new drivers by senior drivers. So in effect, the Road Traffic Management Corporation is saying that most of the accidents that happen on South Africa's roads are caused by young and inexperienced drivers. And that's why they've made this proposal that new drivers not be allowed to travel more than 150 kilometers by themselves, but also that for the first 6 months, new drivers should be accompanied by more experienced drivers. Some of the other more controversial proposals that are being recommended include a revision of the K53 learner's license and driver's booklet, the textbook that hasn't been changed since its inception. And this is one of the things that the Road Traffic Management Corporation says has become irrelevant. Then, of course, the most controversial one is the retesting of the driver's test every 5 years when you go renew your license. At the moment, it's only compulsory for the drivers to undergo an eye test when you renew your license every 5 years. But now the RTMC wants to introduce this, and they haven't said whether or not motorists would be paying for this. And this is all, of course, in response to the carnage on the roads, especially this year, since in the first 18 days of December this year, there had already been more than 700 people that had been killed on the roads. I think Transport Minister Blade Nzimande also raised serious concerns about this, and this is what the Road Traffic Management Corporation has come up with in response to this carnage.
And tell us more about the changes to the regulations or the testing procedures for taxi, bus and truck drivers, because we know a lot of accidents involve people who are on the roads regularly. Taxi, bus and truck drivers, that's their job. How will they face additional testing?
Right, so there's a series of tests that are being proposed here, but I think it's important to point out that when you're driving a taxi, one of the requirements for driving the taxi is the professional driving permit, the PDP license. And you can secure this by going to the doctor at the moment and undergoing a medical test. But for the proposals that are being recommended by the RTMC, there would be more extensive testing in actual being able to operate the vehicle and going through more stringent tests at the licensing center, at the testing center. So this would also apply for the truck drivers as well as the bus drivers who are expected to have those PDPs. Obviously, they get Code 10 and Code 14 licenses, but it seems as if they would be making the tests themselves stricter and having more for the truck drivers, the bus drivers, and the taxi drivers to go through than for the normal motor vehicle drivers, the light motor vehicles. So at the moment, all you need to do is go to the doctor to get that PDP, the medical clearance for that PDP license. But the RTMC hoping to introduce more tests for these specific drivers.
Now, Govan, we know that these proposals are just that. They are only in the proposal phase. Have the RTMC indicated what the process is from here? Will there be time and space for public feedback or commentary?
At the moment, they are just proposals, and the RTMC has put them out there in response to the carnage on the road, but it's not clear what the other law enforcement agencies related to motorists and to the road would be doing in response. The JMPD has said that they can't get involved in formulating of proposals, and they'll wait for the law to be enacted, while the Transport Department says that the RTMC has come up with the proposals by itself, and they would have to submit them to the department formally before they can get any feedback. As for the comments from the ordinary members of public, well, South Africans have reacted on social media, a lot of them reacting with outrage, saying that they don't think this would help, but most of them saying that this might be a viable option to curb some of the carnage on the road. So as yet, I think South Africans have been taken aback by the proposals that they weren't expecting, but the RTMC would soon clarify exactly what they plan to do to implement these proposals, if they will be accepted by the Transport Department.
Well, thank you very much for that. That was our reporter Govan Whittles telling us about changes to regulations for driver testing.